Greetings everyone. In today's video we hear arguments brought forward by Christopher Tufton, who is the current Minister of Health and Wellness of Jamaica. He was making a presentation, a statement in the Parliament recently, and during his presentation he made a response to arguments brought forward by the leader of the opposition, Mark Golding, during his trip to the United States, where he met members of the Jamaican diaspora. During one such meeting with members of the Jamaican diaspora, the opposition leader was asked what his party would do if they were to be placed in government in terms of the healthcare and the infrastructure here in Jamaica. What would the PNP do under the leadership of Mark Golding if they were elected into government? So now let's hear what Mark Golding had to say in response to the question that was posed to him, and then we'll hear from Christopher Tufton in response.
Major issue for people in the diaspora when they want to think about going home is access to healthcare and the healthcare facilities that are there. Now we know we have the best doctors and the best nurses out of Jamaica. Just go to any hospital in South Florida and you will find them. Yes. But what does the opposition plan to do in order to deal with these crumbling infrastructures and the poor healthcare facilities that exist in Jamaica?
Yeah. The issue of how the budget for health is being spent is a real issue for us, because what is happening now is that the government is on a major spending binge of expansion of various hospital facilities and so on. And we know from experience that that is a problem in terms of corruption, because if you look at Cornwall Regional Hospital, which is a major hospital in Western Jamaica, that was supposed to be renovated at a cost of $2 billion. And how many years later, 6 years later, it still can't finish, and the budget gone over $20 billion. Yeah, and and there's been no accountability for that, none. So, when we see these big expenditures in health on new projects, it's of concern to us because we don't like the way they manage those projects. But furthermore, the basics are not being attended to. What do I call the basics? The experience of the average Jamaican when they go into a public hospital and they need treatment and they need to be admitted and they need a bed. Many times they can't see a doctor for hours to be even through the triage process, and then they can't get a bed for days. And many of them have to be on a wheelchair or on a bench or lying on a cardboard or whatever. Yeah. So to me, the priorities must be to make the experience of the patient, the public, in dealing with interfacing the public health system, treat people with dignity, so that when they go into hospital, they have an experience where they feel that they are being properly looked after. And so the resources need to be allocated in that way. And of course, we also have to focus on some of the chronic diseases that are a problem, hypertension and diabetes and cancers and so on, which are lifestyle influenced, and continue to encourage people to eat healthily, take adequate exercise, don't smoke, etc., etc. And that public health messaging around that needs to be reinforced. But it's a question of prioritizing. I think in terms of the diaspora's needs, we have, apart from the public health facilities, we also have private facilities as well. And we have some good ones, and but again, I think it's work needs to be done. I think there are opportunities for diaspora investors to look at maybe enhancing one or two facilities to the standards which they would expect to have the benefit of if they were here. Right. And there's some of that happening, and I would encourage more of that.
Yeah.
I want to look quickly at capital projects. And Mr. Speaker, sorry. And I want to unusually reference the leader of the opposition in my intervention on this, because I received a clip recently, a few days ago, he toured the diaspora, and a question was put to him and sent out into TikTok land around the state of the healthcare facilities. And I don't think it was AI, artificial intelligence. I think it was him. And his response, you know, wasn't very gracious, but also, I dare say, not very logical. His response was that our priorities, yes, you did actually, our priorities were not correct, the government's priorities, because we were there building out buildings. And what we really should be doing is solving the problem of bed shortage. And people were waiting in chairs for bed. And, you know, it caused me to pause a bit because I considered the logic of wanting to have more beds and not wanting to build more buildings. And I had to, you know, reflect. And I want to say that that road to transformation, Mr. Opposition Leader, colleague, requires significant investment in infrastructure if beds and waiting areas are going to be produced. I don't know any other way to do it because the underinvestment over the many decades has left us so wanting that this government, having recognized that, has decided to invest more than any other in the infrastructure that is required to right-size the facilities of healthcare. So I make no apologies for it, but I think it's a teaching moment for all of us because maybe that position is a commonly shared view on that side. We have to build, and we are building, both health centers and hospitals. So I want to just mention a few of them. When we agreed on the project at the Cambridge Health Centre, MP Davis, that facility was in a condition where people did not want to stop. They did not want to stop. It was that horrible, having not been maintained over the years. Today, if you go to the Cambridge Health Centre in Northwest St. James, it now boasts fully air-conditioned facility, South St. James, South MJ, improved parking for staff and clients, expanded waiting area, a new sewage system, a 3-chair dental facility. You know, the people are happy to stop at the Cambridge Health Centre where previously they were not prepared so to do. And so we have to build in order to transform. It's a necessary variable. But there's more to come, Mr. Speaker, because in another month or so, waiting on a non-objection from our international multilateral partners, we will announce contracts awarded to build or majorly expand 3 critical facilities in St. Catherine. Contracts valuing some 1.5 billion Jamaican dollars. The Old Harbour Health Centre, which my colleague to my left is the Member of Parliament for, some nearly $500 million. The St. Jago Park Health Centre, $460 million approximately, and the Greater Portmore Health Centre for $500 million Jamaican dollars. We have to build in order to transform, Mr. Speaker.
You don't care when it's going to be done.
We are now within the next 2 months. We are now in the design phase of the Mocha Health Centre and Mapen Health Centres. We will go to market for construction by the 4th quarter of the financial year. In St. Anne, we have so far completed designs for Brownstown Health Centre and Ocho Rios Health Centre, which will include improvements in these facilities, such as new dental and waiting areas, ultrasound rooms, labs, maternal and child health. We anticipate that we will spend some 1.5 million US on these facilities in those parishes. These are just a few, Mr. Speaker. It is necessary because of what has been the case and what we have had to contend with over many years. This is what this government is committed to. We have to build in order to transform. But we're not leaving out the hospitals. And there is a lot taking place in terms of expansion of our hospitals. Indeed, our overhauling of hospital infrastructure has seen some 21 hospitals seeing major upgrading over the last 8 years, and a lot more to come. What you're seeing on the screen there is the University Hospital of the West Indies demolition exercise taking place to reroute the ring road. Okay, it has switched now to the Western Child and Adolescent Hospital, but a lot is taking place. Let me give you a few, just a few. Chapelton Hospital. This past year, we secured this facility, perimeter fencing. We have added more doctors, and this facility has been upgraded. We talk about beds, from a 16-bed facility to a 38-bed facility. UWI, the ring road, is now in progress. We will go to market this year for the new construction. Spanish Town Hospital, the work has commenced. We are demolishing the old buildings now to start the construction for this $6.5 billion facility, a 6-story facility with multiple additional services. On completion, the Spanish Town Hospital will expand its services, offering to the St. Catherine community urology, oncology, cardiology, gastroenterology, ophthalmology, and psychiatry. Mr. Speaker, we're building to add more services so we serve the people better. It's as simple as that. Now, I pause briefly at the Cornwall Regional Hospital because the opposition leader did reference that in his response. And he has prompted me to reference him because it's the latest response I've heard as a critique of these. Now, let me just say up front, I fully appreciate the impatience that all Jamaicans, particularly those in Western Jamaica, would have around the need to complete the Cornwall Regional Hospital. I understand it. I have to. If I could wave a magic wand to make it repaired, I would, but it don't work like that. The reality is that this is a facility that has suffered from underinvestment and maintenance over many years, a facility that shows many signs of collapse before this government, and we had to pick it up and deal with it once and for all as a government. Yes, we are transforming. We are transforming. And that's the other thing. We need to clarify something, Mr. Speaker, because this 21 billion is being bandied about, either without proper understanding of the expenditure or just an attempt of mischief making. First of all, the 21 billion includes expenditures on Falmouth, on Noel Homes, on building out a new accident and emergency, the previously Mount Salem Clinic, a new diagnostic center outside of the main building. Because for those who care to know the truth, they would appreciate that we had to build a hospital around the hospital to continue the services in order to repair the main building. I want to also say something about that expenditure. There is a difference between cost overrun and rescoping of cost. Because what is being bandied about as cost overrun is not cost overrun. What started as fixing a ventilation system morphed into the stripping down of a 10-story building and a replacement of every single window, every single door, every ward, every operating theater. So in effect, what we are doing is building a brand new hospital for the people of Western Jamaica. We have already spent $3.5 billion on this project. This year we are projected to spend $5.81 billion. And that final phase that we're in, work has now started to deal with the internals, and we will see the manifestations of that in the months to come. And Mr. Speaker, I'll say without fear or favor, I'm prepared to go in the public square and debate the case of Cornwall Regional, because it is a teaching moment about what will happen if we neglect our infrastructure. But this government is the government that will fix the problem once and for all. If if you add Western Child and Adolescent Hospital to that on this road to transformation, which is now 54% complete, we will see the highest concentration of hospital beds starting in the next year in the Caribbean. Both hospitals will have a combined 750 beds and multiples more specialities, not to mention 12 operating theaters that will be brand new between both hospitals. That is going to be good for the people of St. James and St. John.